Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Here we are with lecture number 32, that is the last lecture for this course, English Comprehension and Composition. Being the last lecture, today we are going to review all the course contents of this lecture, including all the grammar that we did, then moving on to writing, that is composition. We talked about paragraph, précis and essay writing. We are going to give it a detailed overview. And then message composition, we'll talk about memo writing, email writing, CV composition and cover letter writing as well. And then in the end, we'll give a brief overview to presentation skills that we did in the end. So moving on, let's begin with this last lecture of the course. I hope this lecture will refresh all the knowledge of the previous course contents in your mind. And with this lecture, you will be able to revise whatever we have done till now. Now, starting off, we began with strengthening our reading comprehension skills. The first and very important component of this course was reading comprehension. We talked about how reading enhances our overall understanding of everything that we study, especially for you as students. These skills are going to be helpful with other subjects as well as you move on deeper into your degree course. And we also discussed some very important skills, some very focused techniques that help you enhance your reading comprehension. Let's quickly give it an overview and see what we talked about, because this was the one of the earliest lectures, so you might have forgotten what we did. So it's good that we revise all the knowledge that we have discussed before. So regarding strengthening your reading comprehension skills, we talked about certain points, certain skills that you can apply to various reading passages, various reading exercises that you might come up with, and enhance or improve your reading comprehension skill. The first one was analyze the time and place in which you are reading. Now, this is very important. Whenever you are reading, you are supposed to be very, very conscious of your physical environment. If there is any kind of noise around you, if you are fatigued, if you are mentally upset, or you are suffering from lack of concentration, you simply cannot focus totally on your comprehension passage, and this would definitely affect the understanding of that passage. So be very, very conscious of the time and place in which you are reading. The time should be the time when you are not fatigued, that is not the time when you are overworked or you are burdened about something, or you are worried about something, you are preoccupied about something and you cannot focus on the passage. And similarly, the place is supposed to be very, very like there should be no noise. It should be totally detached from all kinds of activity or all kinds of hustle and bustle. Even if you are doing this activity in the class is supposed to be very quiet during every student is doing their reading. So time and place are very, very important to actually start off reading, because this brings in distraction and it interrupts your reading, and ultimately that affects your understanding of the passage. Then we discussed rephrase each paragraph in your own words. This can also be one very important skill in the sense that if you believe that something is not getting into your mind and you don't understand what it means, you can rephrase that paragraph or that particular sentence in your own words, and that will help you understand what the sentence or paragraph means. Approach complicated material sentence by sentence, expressing each in your own word. Now look at every difficult sentence, sentence by sentence, looking at every entity, every word separately, so that you divide that complicated material into portions and you understand what the writer is trying to say, and express it in your own words. We did this in Pressy writing as well, so these skills are interrelated. One skill used at one level can help you at another activity as well. Then read aloud sentences or sections that are particularly difficult. Now you can always use the isolation that you have while doing any reading comprehension exercise to read aloud any sentences that you don't understand. It's not a very good idea while doing it in the class, because the rest of the class is reading and you start reading aloud the sentences you don't understand, so unko disturbance hogi. So when you are reading, doing any assignment on any exercise on your own, in your own room, or when you are alone, you can read aloud the portions that you don't understand, and when you read them and you hear them, you will be able to understand them better. It makes complicated material easier to understand. Then it was another skill that you can reread difficult or complicated sections. Always go back and reread the difficult and complicated parts again, because there are many passages that are related to knowledge or field that is not yours. So there are words and expressions that you might have heard for the very first time. So trying to get contextual meaning is also very important. So go back and read the complicated portions again. Slow down your reading rate. This is also very important. You have to be slow in reading if you want complete understanding. If you're just moving through the reading in a smooth, quick flow, तो आपको बहुत सी बातें skip हो जाएंगी, आपको समझ में नहीं आएंगी. अपना reading rate slow कर दें. जितना आप तेज़ी से पढ़ते हैं उसको थोड़ा आहिस्ता पढ़ें, तो आपका फोकस हर वर्ड के ऊपर अलग अलग होगा. हाउ एवरी वर्ड, एवरी सेंटेंस इज कनेक्टेड विद ईच अदर, you can easily understand then. Reading more slowly and carefully will provide you with the needed boost in comprehension. Of course, that will affect your comprehension positively. Turn headings into questions. Refer to these questions frequently and jot down or underline answers. Now, you can do what you can do with headings is that you can change those headings into questions. And what that is going to do is that it will help you answer those questions, and answering those questions would bring more understanding, and it will improve your comprehension of that passage. So, you can also jot down or underline important answers. Keep a piece of paper or a notebook along with your reading comprehension passage. Important points को note करते जाएं, या उसी passage के ऊपर side पे margins होते हैं, उनके अंदर important points note करें. When you go back and read the passage again, तो आपको बहुत अच्छी तरह से वो समझ में आ जाएगा. Write a brief outline of major points. This will help you see the overall organization and progression of ideas. And this is for more complicated passages. You can always write an outline of the major points. If you are given a passage that is very long, that is like more than 900 or 1100, 1200 words, you can always make a brief outline. With every paragraph you can write a brief line कि ये paragraph किस बारे में है, और जब भी कोई question उससे related आएगा, you will know that this question has its answer in that paragraph. तो आप उसी paragraph में जाके उसका answer ढूंढेंगे. This will save time, and this is specifically for very long and complicated passages. छोटे पैसेजेस के लिए आपको ऐसा करने की ज़रूरत नहीं होती, बिकॉज इफ़ देयर आर ओनली 3 पैराग्राफ्स यू विल इजीली अंडरस्टैंड कि हर पैराग्राफ क्या बात कर रहा है, और उनका टॉपिक सेंटेंस जो है वो अंडरलाइन करने की कोशिश करें. देन वी इन द पैराग्राफ राइटिंग सेक्शन वी टॉक्ड अबाउट टॉपिक सेंटेंसेस, थीसिस स्टेटमेंट्स एंड कंक्लूडिंग सेंटेंसेस. हर पैराग्राफ के अगर ये सेक्शंस आप आइडेंटिफाई कर लें तो इट विल बी वेरी इजी फॉर यू टू रीड एंड कॉम्प्रिहेंड योर पैसेज ईजिली. Now highlight key ideas. After you've read a section, go back and think about and highlight what is important. Now this is also very commonly used skill that students apply. उनके हाथ में जो भी पेन या पेंसिल होता है उससे वो important sections को underline करते हैं. While checking papers, I have mostly noticed that Students in the précis passage or even in the reading comprehension passage have underlined important points, and that's a very good idea because you can always come back and look at those answers, especially when you have read the questions. तो आपको पता होता है कौन से क्वेश्चन का आंसर कहाँ पर है, तो आप फौरन वापस जाके उसको आंसर को अंडरलाइन कर लेते हैं, मार्क कर लेते हैं, एंड देन उसको थोड़ा सा रीफ्रेज करके आप उसका आंसर नोट कर लेते हैं. And write notes in the margin. This again is for complicated ideas and sections. आप उन्हें अपने words में rephrase करके margins में notes लिखें, and later when you come back to those notes, they are easier for you to understand. Now determine whether you lack background knowledge. Sometimes there are passages that are related to some scientific subjects, and they are passages जिसमें आपका background knowledge इतना ज़्यादा नहीं होता. So right in the beginning, just see, analyze and assess whether you lack background knowledge about that comprehension passage or not, and if you do, you need to focus on it more than usual. Comprehension is difficult at times, and it is impossible if you lack essential information that the writer assumes you have. अगर आप कोई scientific passage पढ़ रहे हैं and the writer believes कि आपको basic science का पता होगा, तो और आप वो पैसेज समझ लेंगे और आपको बेसिक साइंसेस का कुछ आइडिया नहीं है, तो आप वो पैसेज नहीं समझ सकते. सो बी केयरफुल कि आपको बैकग्राउंड नॉलेज जो है वो होनी चाहिए. Now we also talked about some very important reading skills. There were two reading skills, skimming and scanning. Talking about skimming, skimming is used to quickly gather the most important information or gist. Run your eyes over the text, noting important information. Use skimming to quickly get up to speed on a current business situation. It's not essential to understand each word when skimming. Now skimming और scanning को पहले मैं आपको अलग अलग बता देती हूँ, then we'll make the comparison and see how skimming is different from scanning. Skimming is used to quickly gather the most important information or gist of the passage. You just go through the passage once or twice and understand कि ये passage किस बारे में है. That's what skimming is. You run through your eyes, through the important information in the passage, and you understand कि इसमें basic बात क्या की गई है. Examples of skimming are the newspaper. You quickly go through the newspaper to see what the general news are. Magazines quickly discover which articles you would like to read later on, and business and travel brochures quickly to get informed. Now these are three examples of skimming. Moving on to scanning. Scanning is used to find a particular piece of information. Run your eyes over the text looking for the specific piece of information you need. Use scanning on schedules, meeting plans, etc. Now scanning is a skill where you find particular piece of information. Now skimming was to look for the important information, most important information, that is the gist, overall main idea. But scanning is specific information. For example, you are talking about a passage about social issues in Pakistan, and there are 5 paragraphs जिसमें different 5 social issues का जिक्र है, लेकिन आपको skimming के through पता चल गया कि passage जो है वो social issues के बारे में है, but you are asked which social issue is the most drastic one in Pakistan. ये क्वेश्चन है आपके कॉम्प्रीहेंशन पैसेज के एंड में दिए हुए क्वेश्चंस में. सो यू गो बैक टू द पैसेज एंड ट्राई टू फाइंड दैट पर्टिकुलर सोशल इशू जो इसका आंसर है. दैट इज, इट कैन बी चाइल्ड लेबर, इट कैन बी अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट, इट कैन बी डिस्क्रिमिनेशन. सो ये स्पेसिफिक पीस ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन ढूंढने के लिए जब आप पैसेज में वापस जाएंगे, दैट इज कॉल्ड स्कैनिंग. एंड यू स्कैन थ्रू all kinds of schedules and meeting plans to find information that is required by you. Examples of scanning are the What's on TV section of newspaper. You quickly open the newspaper, go to the What's on TV section because you want to see कि कौन से TV चैनल पर उस वक्त क्या प्रोग्राम चल रहे हैं. So आप सिर्फ What's on TV section देखते हैं. That is requirement of your own mind, जो आप देखना चाहते हैं. And then a train and airplane schedule, आपकी अपनी फ्लाइट या ट्रेन को देखने के लिए आप वो देखते हैं. And a conference guide में जो सेशन आपने अटेंड करना है आप वो ही देखते हैं, बाकी सेशंस आप नहीं देखते. So this is called scanning, and the difference between skimming and scanning is that skimming is used to gather the most important information or gist, and scanning is used to find a particular piece of information in a passage. Then we also talked about vocabulary in context. Context clues are words and phrases in a sentence which help you reason out the meaning of an unfamiliar word. Now, कॉन्टेक्चुअल लैंग्वेज होती है, एक पैराग्राफ में आपको कभी कोई ऐसा अनफेमिलियर वर्ड नज़र आ जाता है जिसका मीनिंग आपको नहीं आता होता, सो यू गो बैक एंड रीड दैट पर्टिकुलर वर्ड और उसकी सराउंडिंग लैंग्वेज में आप उस वर्ड का मीनिंग ढूंढने की कोशिश करते हैं. दैट इज कॉल्ड वोकैबुलरी इन कॉन्टेक्स्ट. इसमें वी टॉक्ड अबाउट वेरियस क्लूज, देयर वर एंटोनिम्स एंड कंट्रास्ट क्लूज, उसमें डेफिनेशंस हैं और सिग्नल्स हैं, बट इन कंट्रास्ट, however, instead of, unlike, yet, ये आपके कंट्रास्ट क्लूज हैं जो जिनसे आप आइडेंटिफाई कर सकते हैं कि आपका जो वर्ड है वो किसी भी वर्ड का ऑपोजिट होगा. Unlike his quiet and low key family, Brad is garrulous. Now, quiet and low key का ऑपोजिट होगा garrulous. Quiet and low key means they don't talk much, and garrulous means very talkative. So, your context clues give you the meaning of an unfamiliar word. Next clue was डेफिनेशन और एग्जाम्पल क्लू. अब इसमें ऐसा होता है कि आपका जो सेंटेंस है उसी में उस वर्ड की डेफिनेशन और एग्जाम्पल दी होती है. लुक एट द एग्जाम्पल. सेडेंटरी इंडिविजुअल्स, पीपल हु आर नॉट वेरी एक्टिव, ऑफन हैव डिमिनिश्ड हेल्थ. सेडेंटरी इंडिविजुअल्स का आगे एग्जाम्पल उन्होंने खुद ही दे दिया और उसी में उसकी डेफिनेशन आ गई है, पीपल हु आर नॉट वेरी एक्टिव. सो सेडेंटरी इंडिविजुअल्स आर दोज पीपल हुज वर्क डज नॉट इन्वॉल्व अ लॉट ऑफ मूवमेंट. उन्हें एक ही जगह बैठ कर काम करना होता है, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दैट इनएक्टिविटी they have diminished health. Diminished health का मतलब है उनकी हेल्थ इतनी अच्छी नहीं होती. So people who are not very active are called sedentary individuals. Now, another clue was general knowledge clue. Sometimes in a sentence a general knowledge word is given जो आपको usually आम language में use करते हुए आपने किया देखा होता है, लेकिन वहाँ पर आप उसका meaning आराम से identify कर सकते हैं. For example, Lourdes is always sucking up to the boss, even in front of others. That sycophant just doesn't care what others think of her behavior. Now, she is sucking up to the boss. That means she is flattering the boss. Sucking up is an expression that is an everyday colloquial phrasal verb जिसका meaning हर किसी को आता होता है, and that is related to sycophant. Sycophant का मतलब होता है a person who is an excessive flatterer, जो किसी की तारीफ करता है अपने मकसद के लिए. So इस तरह के clues हैं context clues में जो that help you understand how you go about your reading comprehension. Then the last clue was restatement or synonym clue. Sometimes you find a word, the meaning of a word with the help of the same meaning word जो उसी sentence में use हुआ होता है. For example, the dromedary, commonly called a camel, stores fat in its hump. Dromedary, commonly called a camel. So camel is the another word for dromedary. So यहाँ पर आपको restatement और synonym clue मिल गया, जिसकी वजह से you got the answer or meaning of the unfamiliar word dromedary. Now, previewing was another skill that before even actually reading the passage, you gather some information about the passage. What is my purpose for reading? Now, before reading the passage, you determine why you are reading the passage. If your teacher has given the passage to you as a quiz, that means you have to be very focused, you have to get as many marks as possible. If you've been given a passage to read and आंसर क्वेश्चंस दैट आर सब्जेक्टिव टाइप, जिनमें आपने डिटेल्ड क्वेश्चन का आंसर लिखना है, तो आपको बहुत ज़्यादा फोकस्ड होना पड़ेगा, पैसेज को बहुत गौर से पढ़ना पड़ेगा, एंड यू नीड टू हैव अ लॉट ऑफ बैकग्राउंड नॉलेज अबाउट द पैसेज एज वेल. Are you asked to summarize a particular piece of writing? If you are asked to summarize it, if you are asked to gather the main idea or thesis statement, or if you are asked to respond to a literary piece, this is how आपका purpose determine होगा, and इन्हीं questions के accordingly आपने passage को पढ़ना है. Then what can the title tell me about the text? Before even reading the passage, आपको title सबसे पहले text के बारे में कुछ ना कुछ बताता है. So your title, is it a scientific topic? Is it an informative topic? Whether it's an argumentative discussion या कोई debate है, वो आपको टाइटल से पता चल जाएगा. Now, most good writers usually try to make their titles work to help readers grasp what the topic is all about. who is the author. Now if you have read another passage written by the same author, तो आपको उसके स्टाइल और उसकी लिंग्विस्टिक वेरिएशन का आइडिया होता है. सो आप समझ जाते हैं कि इस ऑथर ने अब इस पैसेज में किस तरह से टॉपिक को हैंडल किया होगा. एंड देन द लास्ट वन इज हाउ इज द टेक्स्ट स्ट्रक्चर्ड. इफ योर टेक्स्ट हैज सेक्शन हेडिंग्स, इफ द ओपनिंग sentences of the paragraphs are quite visible and you can identify them, concluding sentences और main ideas को भी आप identify कर लेते हैं, तो आप बहुत अच्छी तरह से पैसेज को समझ सकते हैं. Now reading for main idea was another very important aspect of your reading comprehension. The main idea of a passage or reading is the central thought or message. In contrast to the term topic, which refers to the subject under discussion, the term main idea refers to the point or thought being expressed. Now इसकी example आप कैसे समझ सकते हैं? There is a bunch of people standing a little away from you, और उन्होंने बात करते करते they use your name. You quickly look at them and you know कि उनका बात करने का टॉपिक क्या है, what are they talking about, but the main idea, what exactly they are referring to, you don't know that you will understand unless you go to them and ask them कि उन्होंने आपका नाम क्यों लिया. तब वो आपको बताएंगे कि आपका नाम इसलिए लिया कि आप की प्रेजेंटेशन अच्छी थी या आपकी असाइनमेंट अच्छी थी या दे वांटेड टू टॉक टू यू. सो वहाँ आपको मेन आइडिया पता चल जाएगा. ऑल्दो आपका नाम सुनने की वजह से आपको सिर्फ ये पता चला कि द टॉपिक ऑफ द डिस्कशन इज यू, योर नेम, एंड द मेन आइडिया तब पता चलेगा जब आप उनसे बात करेंगे. सो रीडिंग टिप्स रिगार्डिंग द मेन आइडिया इज एज सून एज यू कैन डिफाइन द टॉपिक, आस्क योर सेल्फ व्हाट जनरल पॉइंट इज द राइटर ट्राइंग टू मेक. वंस यू कैन आंसर दिस क्वेश्चन यू कैन फाइंड द मेन आइडिया. मोस्ट मेन आइडियाज आर स्टेटेड और सजेस्टेड अर्ली ऑन इन अ पैराग्राफ, सो ट्राई टू पे अटेंशन टू द फर्स्ट थर्ड ऑफ द पैसेज. पहले 2-3 पैराग्राफ्स में ही आपका मेन आइडिया ज्यादातर पाया जाता है. Pay attention to any idea that is repeated in different ways. Main ideas are usually repeated in almost all the paragraphs in different ways. कहीं ना कहीं उनका relation बनाया जाता है बाकी सारी writing के साथ. So it's very easy to identify them. Now here we are through with the first section of the very important section of our course, that was the reading comprehension. Moving on to the kinds of sentences. We discussed what a sentence is, which one of these is a complete sentence. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall, outside the window political parties. Now we discussed that a sentence is a complete whole. It is an entity in itself. It has its subject, it has its verb, and there is the rest of the part of the sentence. Outside the window, what is outside the window? It is not complete, so we have no idea what we are talking about. Similarly, political parties can be the topic of a discussion. It cannot be a complete sentence. So here our complete sentence is number 1, Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. And moving on, we also discussed what a sentence is. A group of words that makes complete sense is called a sentence. For example, children are all foreigners. This sentence has its own subject and verb. I have often wanted to drown my troubles, but I can't get my wife to go swimming. Jimmy Carter ने कहा था ये, और इसमें आपके पास 2 sentences हैं. I have often wanted to drown my troubles. Have often wanted आपका verb है यहाँ पे, और I subject है, और यहाँ पर again I subject है, और can't get आपका वर्ब है. सो आपकी दोनों क्लॉजेज में एक सब्जेक्ट और एक वर्ब है, इसलिए ये एक कंप्लीट सेंटेंस का 2 कंप्लीट सेंटेंसेस का कॉम्बिनेशन है. देन वी हैव अनदर वन वेरी लॉन्ग सेंटेंस दैट अगेन इज अ कंप्लीट सेंटेंस. एंड ओपन द डोर इज आल्सो अ कंप्लीट सेंटेंस इन द सेंस दैट इट इज इसका सब्जेक्ट इम्प्लाइड है, लेकिन ये एक इम्पेरेटिव सेंटेंस है. And I hope you remember what an imperative sentence is. Imperative sentences are in which you give a kind of a command or you request for something. Orders, command या request होती है. Now parts of a sentence include a subject, that is the person or thing that we are talking about. It's the name of a person or thing that we are talking about. It's a subject, and the remaining part of the sentence that tells something about the subject is your predicate. They wake up early in the morning. They is your subject, and wake up early in the morning, including this verb part, is your predicate. This is your subject. So these are some parts of a sentence that we discussed. This was a kind of a refresher. Moving on, we also talked about sentence types according to meaning. According to meaning, we have divided sentences into four types. English has four main sentence types. Declarative sentences are used to form statements. Examples, Mary is here, my name is Mary. ये declarative sentences होते हैं, जिनको plain statements भी कहते हैं. इसमें किसी किस्म का कोई भी fact declare किया जाता है, state किया जाता है. Interrogative sentences are used to ask questions. Imperative sentences are used for commands. Come here, tell me your name, go fetch me a glass of water, get out. ये sentences imperative sentences होते हैं. और conditional sentences have some kind of dependency. इनमें कोई condition जो है वो express की जाती है. Then we talked about sentence structures, and according to sentence structures, we have four different types again. One way to categorize sentences is according to clauses. And a clause is a part of a sentence that has its own subject and a predicate. According to this, we have four types of sentences, and they are simple, contains a single independent clause. I don't like dogs. Our school basketball team lost their last game of the season 75-68. अब इसमें I don't like आपके पास एक ही verb है. Then we have lost, एक ही verb है. यहाँ पर भी the old hotel opposite the bus station in the center of the town is probably going to be knocked down. आपके पास सबसे लंबा verbal group है. ये आपके पास एक ही verb है. जहाँ sentences में there is just one subject and one verb, आपके वो sentences simple sentences होते हैं. Then we have compound sentences. It contains two independent clauses that are joined by a coordinating conjunction. The most common coordinating conjunctions are and, or, but, or so. I don't like dogs and my sister doesn't like cats. Now, I don't like dogs and my sister doesn't like cats. ये sentence number 1, sentence number 2. हमने इनको simply जोड़ दिया है and से, और ये आपका कंपाउंड सेंटेंस बन गया. सिमिलरली और से ये दोनों सेंटेंसेस जोड़ने से आपका कंपाउंड सेंटेंस बना, और यहाँ पे बट से ये दोनों सेंटेंस जोड़ने से भी कंपाउंड सेंटेंस बन गया. और एंड और बट आर योर कोऑर्डिनेटिंग कंजंक्शंस. And in complex sentences, they contain an independent clause plus one dependent clause. And a dependent clause starts with a subordinating conjunction. It is one part that is totally dependent for its meaning on the main part. इसीलिए इसे dependent clause कहते हैं. ये आपके कुछ coordinating conjunctions हैं. There is a long list of conjunctions जो subordinating conjunctions के तौर पे use होते हैं, लेकिन ये यहाँ पे थोड़े से दिए हुए हैं. I don't like dogs that bark at me when I go past. Now, which dogs I don't like that bark at me when I go past. So, अब यहाँ पे हम dogs के बारे में कुछ extra piece of information दे रहे हैं इस clause में. That is why it is a dependent clause. Which dogs are we talking about? We will not know जब तक हम ये वाला portion इस sentence में नहीं डालेंगे. So, this is a dependent clause. You can write on paper, although a computer is better. You have the choice of writing on paper, but a computer is better. None of the students were injured when the tree fell through the school roof. Now, when the tree fell through the school roof, किस वक़्त students were not injured? When the tree fell through the roof. So, ये आपको उसके एक्शन के होने का टाइम बता रही है ये क्लॉज, और जब हम ये हटा देंगे तो आपके पास टाइम नहीं होगा कि कब स्टूडेंट्स जो है वो इंजर्ड नहीं हुए. सो दिस इज हाउ योर कंपाउंड सेंटेंसेस आर. दे कंटेन क्लॉजेस दैट आर डिपेंडेंट फॉर देयर मीनिंग ऑन द मेन पार्ट. एंड द कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ कंपाउंड कॉम्प्लेक्स सेंटेंसेस, इट कंटेन्स 3 or more clauses of which at least 2 are independent and 1 is dependent. कंपाउंड कॉम्प्लेक्स सेंटेंसेस बहुत लंबे सेंटेंसेस होते हैं. जैसा कि नाम से जाहिर है वो कंपाउंड भी होते हैं और कॉम्प्लेक्स भी होते हैं. दे कंटेन 3 or more clauses, जिसमें से at least 2 are independent and 1 is dependent. One clause is definitely dependent and the rest ones are independent. I don't like dogs and my sister doesn't like cats because they make her sneeze. Now, I don't like dogs, my sister doesn't like cats. ये आपकी दो main clauses का combination है, दोनों independent हैं. और dependent clause कौन सी है? Because they make her sneeze. Now, we will not know why the sister doesn't like cats unless we don't add this piece of information here, because they make her sneeze. So this is the reason why the girl does not like cats. So this is the way. There are other two examples as well. These, you can see, these are very long sentences. इनमें you have at least 3 clauses और उससे ज़्यादा भी हो सकते हैं. So this was it about sentence divisions according to meaning, according to clauses. Now we move on to modifiers. The next topic we discussed was modifiers. Modifiers are quite simple as in themselves. It's a word, phrase or clause that functions as an adjective or adverb to limit or qualify the meaning of another word or word group called the head. जो head word होता है उसको limit, उसके meaning को limit करने के लिए modifiers use होते हैं. They are either word, phrase or clause, they are adjectives or adverbs. And there are pre-modifiers and post-modifiers as well. Now, looking at dangling modifiers, a dangling modifier is a phrase or clause that is not clearly and logically related to the word or words it modifies. Dangling modifier उस modifier को कहते हैं जो कि dangle करता है, बीच में कहीं हवा में होता है और उसका meaning जो है वो किसी भी चीज़ के साथ logically connected नहीं होता sentence में. Now, what you have to do to correct such dangling modifiers is that you have to insert some piece of information in them ताकि वो ठीक हो जाए. Unlike a misplaced modifier, a dangling modifier cannot be corrected by simply moving it to a different place in a sentence. Misplaced modifier में आप क्या करते हैं? That you move one piece of information from one place in the sentence to another ताकि sentence जो है वो meaning convey करे. लेकिन dangling में ऐसे नहीं होता. Dangling में you have to insert some piece of information. कुछ नया डालना पड़ता है sentence को complete करने के लिए. In most cases, the dangling modifier appears at the beginning of the sentence, although it can also be at the end. Misplaced modifier is a word, phrase or clause that is improperly separated from the word it modifies or describes. Now, as we just discussed, misplaced modifiers नाम से ही जाहिर है कि उसकी place गलत होती है. वो गलत जगह पे रखा हुआ होता है sentence में, उसे आप वहाँ से उठाकर सही जगह ले जाते हैं, उसका meaning convey हो जाता है. Because of the separation, sentences with this error often sound awkward, ridiculous or confusing. Furthermore, they can be downright illogical. When you see कि आपका subject या predicate गलत जगह पर sentence में पड़ा हुआ है या modifier, तो automatically आपका sentence बहुत awkward meaning देता है, बहुत confusing और ridiculous हो जाता है. So you have to put that modifier at the right place in a sentence to convey the correct meaning. Then we discussed a very important aspect of your course, that is punctuation marks. These are some basic punctuation marks which include a period, that is a full stop, ends the declarative or imperative sentence. You can see the examples. Listen to me, full stop. Don't drink and drive, full stop. Please come here, full stop. Eat your vegetables, full stop. हर complete sentence जब end होता है उसके end में हम ये एक mark लगाते हैं. That is called a period and is also called a full stop. Next we have the question mark. Question mark का ये symbol होता है. It ends an interrogative sentence. A question sentence is ended in a question mark. Do you live in Pasadena? Don't you like chocolate ice cream? और आप देखें कि दोनों के end में question marks हैं. आपके दोनों sentences questions हैं. Now, number 3 is an exclamation mark. Exclamation mark is this is how it is symbolized. Ends an exclamatory sentence. An exclamatory sentence shows an emotion. Any kind of emotion. It can be an emotion of joy, excitement, happiness, regret. You are sorrowful about something and you are victorious. कोई भी emotion हो सकता है, उसके end में आप exclamatory mark लगाते हैं. For example, help. You are asking for help, you are yelling and आप किसी problem में हैं, of course you are emotional about it, आप उसके end में exclamation mark लगाते हैं. Stop. You are asking somebody to stop, of course that again is an exclamation. Don't call me again. This is a kind of a command or order that you are giving someone. Then we have a comma. The basic use of a comma is that it separates items in a list. I like coffee, soda, milk and tea. Sarah, Maria, Robert and Stephen will eat lunch. अब जो पूरी lists हैं coffee, soda, milk and tea, Sarah, Maria, Robert and Stephen, तो ये आपके commas से separated है. Basic function commas का है lists को separate करना. Next, punctuation mark is a semicolon. It separates equal parts of a sentence. Sometimes you don't feel like, or you don't have to write two different sentences. आपने किसी ना किसी तरह से उनको connect करना होता है. Semicolon वहाँ use होता है. Semicolon signifies a pause slightly smaller or shorter than a full stop and a little longer than a comma. तो वहाँ पे आप semicolon use करते हैं. Semicolon का symbol ये है, a little dot and then a comma underneath. That's why we call it a semicolon. Give me a hamburger with onions and lettuce, semicolon. A Coke with a straw and fries with ketchup. Number 6, a colon. Colon का symbol ये होता है, usually precedes a list. जहाँ हेडिंग आती है उसके बाद आप कोलन लगाते हैं और उसको लिस्ट जो है वो बना देते हैं. जैसे ब्रिंग दीज थिंग्स विद यू, विद थिंग्स अ बुक, पेंसिल एंड अ डिक्शनरी. नंबर 7 इज अ डैश. Dash is usually indicative of a break in thought. This is also indicated with parenthesis. इसको separate कर सकते हैं. Hyphen is a little dash जो कि words के बीच में आती है उनके syllables को divide करने के लिए. Then we have parenthesis, or a pair of dashes contain extra information. कोई भी एक्स्ट्रा इन्फॉर्मेशन जो आप सेंटेंस में इंसर्ट कर रहे हैं वो आप पैरेंथेसिस में डाल सकते हैं और ये डैश के इक्विवेलेंट भी होता है. नंबर 10 इज एन एलिप्सिस. एलिप्सिस के 3 डॉट्स से जाहिर करते हैं. ये शो करता है कि जहाँ पे आपने कोई इन्फॉर्मेशन मिस या डिलीट की है. मिसिंग और डिलीटेड इन्फॉर्मेशन के लिए आप एलिप्सिस यूज़ करते हैं. टू बी और नॉट ellipsis the question. So this is to be or not to be, that is the question. इसको थोड़ा सा शॉर्ट करने के लिए उन्होंने बीच में इन 2-3 वर्ड्स की जगह 3 डॉट्स लगाए हैं. इट्स नॉट कि आप बहुत सारे डॉट्स लगाएं, इसमें सिर्फ 3 डॉट्स का मतलब है that there is a lot of piece of information missing here. Then we have the quotation marks. These are used to enclose the exact words of a person. Direct speech को enclose करते हैं. An apostrophe is a substitute for a letter or letters in a contraction. Short form में apostrophe use करते हैं. इसके अलावा possession किसी चीज़ की होती है उसमें use करते हैं. Short form देखिए isn't है, is not, can't है, cannot, don't, do not, I'll, I will and I'm, I am. इसमें हर जगह आप देखें यहाँ पे आपके पास apostrophe है. Then you have this possession thing as well, जहाँ पे आपने possession show करनी होती वहाँ पे आप apostrophe लगाते हैं. And then the last one is capitalization. Begin all sentences with a capital letter. Capital letters से आपके sentences भी शुरू होते हैं और आपके proper nouns जो हैं वो भी शुरू होते हैं. Now moving on to verb tense. This was one very important and very lengthy topic that we discussed. A verb indicates the time of an action, event or condition by changing its form. We have verbs in various forms. हमने verb tense का बहुत डिटेल्ड डॉक्यूमेंट जो है वो अपने लेक्चर में डिस्कस किया था, जिसमें आपको हर टेंस के बारे में अलग अलग समझाया गया था कि वो कहाँ और किस इंडिकेशन के साथ इस्तेमाल होता है. There are 4 past tenses: the simple past, the past progressive, the past perfect and the past perfect progressive. उसके साथ आपके पास इनकी verb form या formation भी लिखी हुई है. You can see that. Then we have the 4 present tenses: simple present, present progressive, present perfect and present perfect progressive. You can see the forms as well. Then we have 4 future tenses: simple future, future progressive, future perfect and future perfect progressive. And here we go with the forms: I will go, I will be going, I will have gone and I will have been going. ये आपके पास 12 different tenses हैं English language में. Now looking at the function of a simple present tense, the simple present tense is used to describe an action, an event or condition that is occurring in the present at the moment of speaking. Now look at these 4 indications in which we use the simple present tense. The simple present is used to express general truths or scientific facts. The simple present is used to indicate a habitual action, event or condition that regularly happens, like I go to school. तो go जो है वो आपका simple present tense है. The simple present is also used when writing about works of art. Works of art, किसी writer की किताब या किसी की painting के बारे में आप लिखना चाह रहे हैं तो वो आप present में लिखते हैं, because that painting is one entity that will remain the same till the end of the world. वो हमेशा ऐसी ही रहेगी, वो change नहीं होगी. Similarly, the simple present can also be used to refer to a future event. फ्यूचर के इवेंट के लिए भी सिंपल प्रेजेंट टेंस जो है वो आप इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं. The present progressive is used occasionally used to refer to a future event when used in conjunction with an adverb or adverbial phrase. आपका present progressive भी future के लिए use होता है और ये continuing action को emphasize करता है. Work that is going on at the moment of speaking. And then present perfect tense is used to describe action that began in the past and continues into the present or has just been completed at the moment of utterance. The present perfect is often used to suggest that a past action still has an effect upon something happening in the present. This was present perfect tense. Moving on to the present perfect progressive tense. Like the present perfect progressive is used to describe an action, event or condition that has begun in the past and continues into the present. Now that it is progressive, जो कि continuous tense होता है आपका, उसकी वजह से ये tense आपका प्रेजेंट में कंटिन्यू करता है, लाइक काम अभी हो रहा है. सो प्रेजेंट प्रोग्रेसिव टेंस जो है वो ऐसे एक्शन को रेफर करता है. Moving on, the simple past tense of course is used to describe an action or event that occurred in the past sometime before the moment of speaking or writing. अब वो काम हो चुका है और अब बाद में उसके बारे में बात करें, then you use the simple past tense. Next we have the past progressive tense. Past progressive tense is used to enhance or express an action that was going on in the past, used to describe an actions ongoing in the past. They were ongoing but they happened in the past. So इनके साथ आपके प्रेजेंट और पास्ट के जो हेल्पिंग वर्ब्स हैं वो लगते हैं was and were, लेकिन इनके साथ ing फॉर्म लगती है because they are progressive tenses. Then we have the past perfect tense. The past perfect tense is used to refer to actions that took place and were completed in the past. The past perfect is often used to emphasize that one action, event or condition ended before another past action, event or condition began. Past perfect tense में जो भी काम है वो होता शुरू भी पास्ट में होता है और ख़त्म भी पास्ट में होता है, और दो एक्शंस का जिक्र हो रहा होता है कि एक काम होने से पहले भी एक एक्शन हो रहा था. So these are very brief, very easy indications that you need to remember to be able to identify between different tenses. The past perfect progressive tense of course is almost the same, but it has the progressive stream to it. It is a continuing action that happened in the past, began sometime in the past and ended in the past. The simple future tense refers to actions that will take place after the moment of speaking, something that will happen in the future. The future progressive tense refers to an action that will continue in the future. जो future में है लेकिन वो progressive nature का है, उसमें ongoing action जो है वो आ रहा है. The future perfect tense is used to refer to an action that will be completed sometime in the future before another action takes place. Future perfect tense future में ही होगा लेकिन किसी और action के होने से पहले. And the future perfect progressive tense, the last 12th tense of verb tense in English language, the future perfect progressive tense is used to indicate a continuing action that will be completed at some specified time in the future. This tense is rarely used. This tense is one very, very long verbal group in English language, and it is very rarely used in English and in any other context. So these were all 12 tenses that we discussed in our verb tense lecture. This was a very brief overview of all the indications that you can use to identify between all the kinds of tenses. Moving on, we also discussed very important aspect of English language, that is word order. There were some important structures that we discussed, not all of them, because some are very simple that you can read through the grammar book that is specified for this course, and there were some very complicated word orders जो हमने discuss किए थे. Number one was word order in affirmative sentences. We have a subject, then we have a verb and object. This is the very simple word order in affirmative sentences. I speak English. I can speak English, or I cannot speak English. Cannot of course नहीं हो सकता because we are talking about affirmative sentences. वो negative हो जाएगा. वर्ड ऑर्डर इन अफर्मेटिव सेंटेंसेस नंबर 2, ये थोड़ा सा वर्बल ग्रुप लंबा है. आई विल टेल यू द स्टोरी एट स्कूल टुमारो. लुक एट द टाइम एक्सप्रेशन दैट फॉल्स इन द एंड. प्लेस भी ऑलमोस्ट एंड में है, आपका डायरेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट है. दिस इज द इनडायरेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट, ये आपका वर्बल ग्रुप है, एंड दिस इज योर सब्जेक्ट. सो ये आपका वर्ड ऑर्डर है अफर्मेटिव सेंटेंसेस का. वर्ड ऑर्डर इन पास्ट परफेक्ट सिंपल नेगेटिव सेंटेंसेस. परफेक्ट टेंस और नेगेटिव सेंटेंसेस है. नॉट का एलिमेंट भी है, पास्ट परफेक्ट भी है. आई हैड नॉट टोल्ड यू द स्टोरी एट स्कूल टुमारो. अगेन यू सी योर टाइम एंड प्लेस एक्सप्रेशंस मोस्टली फॉल एट द एंड ऑफ द सेंटेंस. आई हैड नॉट टोल्ड. हैड टोल्ड is your past perfect tense. Word order in subordinate clauses, we see we have this subordinate clause along with this conjunction, because I will tell you the story at school tomorrow because I do not have time now. So आपके दो टाइम एक्सप्रेशंस हैं यहाँ पे, प्लेस है और डायरेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट आपके पास दो हैं और इनडायरेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट है, और ये वर्बल ग्रुप्स हैं आपके दोनों. बट द सेंटेंस इज वेरी लॉन्ग बिकॉज ऑफ दिस सबऑर्डिनेट क्लॉज दैट हैज बीन अटैच्ड टू द सेंटेंस. Position of time expressions and adverbs of frequency. Now you have to be very careful about placing your adverbs of frequency and time expressions. Adverbs की position जो है, this is a one very important phenomenon in English language, because आपके students अक्सर ये mistakes जो है वो कर रहे होते हैं कि वो sentences को में adverbs को गलत जगह पर रखते हैं. Now see, I often go swimming in the evening. Now adverbs की list देखें, ये हैं आपके adverbs. Auxiliary के बाद आ रहा है आपका एडवर्ब ऑफ फ्रीक्वेंसी, और टाइम एक्सप्रेशंस आपके आ रहे हैं सेंटेंसेस के एंड में. सो दिस इज हाउ इट इज. ही डजंट ऑलवेज प्ले टेनिस, वी आर यूजुअली हियर इन समर. अब आपके जो एडवर्ब ऑफ फ्रीक्वेंसी हैं वो तीनों वर्ब्स के बाद आए. जहां पे वर्ब नहीं है, आपके सब्जेक्ट के बाद ऑफन जो है वो एडवर्ब ऑफ फ्रीक्वेंसी आ गया. नाउ वर्ड ऑर्डर इन क्वेश्चंस. This was also one very important word order. We have what would you like to tell me. जब WH word से शुरू हो आपका क्वेश्चन, तो वो इंट्रोगेटिव वर्ड होता है. WH वर्ड को इंट्रोगेटिव वर्ड कहते हैं. वो आपके सेंटेंस के शुरू में आता है. देन वी हैव द ऑक्सिलरी, यू हैव द सब्जेक्ट, आपका वर्ब यहाँ आ जाता है, और आपका डायरेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट एंड में आता है, और यहाँ पे आपका क्वेश्चन मार्क भी होता है. Then if your question is starting off with an auxiliary, you have the auxiliary before the verb and the subject. Did you have a party in your flat yesterday? Have is your verb और you subject है, और इन दोनों से पहले आपका जो helping verb है वो आया हुआ है. Now we also discussed determiners, their functions and classes. Determiners are words placed in front of a noun to make it clear as to what the noun refers to. These are the classes of determiners: definite and indefinite articles, demonstratives, this, that, these, those, possessives. ये possessives की लिस्ट है. वी टॉक्ड अबाउट क्वांटिफायर्स, जो क्वांटिटी किसी चीज़ की शो करते हैं. नंबर्स के डिटर्मिनर्स होते हैं जो नंबर को रेफर करते हैं. डिस्ट्रीब्यूटिव्स हैं जो डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करते हैं चीज़ को. हाफ, आइदर, नाइदर, ईच, एवरी. डिफरेंस वर्ड्स हैं अदर एंड अदर. क्वेश्चन वर्ड्स हैं विच, व्हाट, हुज, एंड डिफाइनिंग वर्ड्स हैं विच एंड हुज. दीज आर द डिफरेंट क्लासेस ऑफ determiners that we discussed. Moving on to prepositions. A preposition is a word that relates a noun or pronoun to another word in a sentence. This is the dog sat under the tree. If you exclude under from here, the dog sat the tree, you cannot make sense of this sentence. So prepositions are very important to the meaning of sentences because they गिव अ कंप्लीट मीनिंग, और वो सेंटेंस को कनेक्ट करते हैं उसके प्रॉपर मीनिंग के साथ. नाउ मूविंग ऑन, वी टॉक्ड अबाउट एडवांस सेंटेंस स्ट्रक्चर्स, जिसमें आपने डिस्कस किया था पैरेललिज्म, रन ऑन सेंटेंसेस और सेंटेंस फ्रैगमेंट्स. रिगार्डिंग पैरेललिज्म में व्हाट यू हैव टू डू इज दैट टू और मोर आइडियाज इन अ सेंटेंस आर एक्सप्रेस्ड इन सिमिलर फॉर्म एंड बट एंड और यूजुअली जॉइन सिमिलर टर्म्स. और पैरेलल स्ट्रक्चर्स को आप, चाहे वो एडजेक्टिव्स हैं, वर्ब्स हैं, एडवर्ब्स और फ्रेजेस हैं, उन्हें एक ही फॉर्म में करना होता है. उनकी फॉर्म एक जैसी होनी चाहिए. माई एम्बिशन इज टू बी अ डॉक्टर एंड टू स्पेशलाइज इन सर्जरी. टू बी अ डॉक्टर, टू स्पेशलाइज इन सर्जरी, दोनों आपके स्ट्रक्चर्स जो हैं वो टोटली पैरेलल हैं. सेंटेंस फ्रैगमेंट में आप सेंटेंस को अधूरा छोड़ देते हैं, उसमें या तो सब्जेक्ट नहीं होता या वर्ब नहीं होता. दैट इज़ व्हाई इट इज़ कॉल्ड फ्रैगमेंट. फ्रैगमेंट का मतलब होता है पीस, डिटैच्ड part of something. Every sentence has to have a subject and a verb in order to be complete. If it doesn't, it's a fragment. That's easy enough if you have something like ran into town. Who ran into town? We don't have any subject. The growling dog, what did the growling dog do? We don't have the verb here. So when you are missing a subject or verb, तो वो सेंटेंस आपका फ्रैगमेंट बन जाता है. नाउ फ्रैगमेंट्स में आगे 3 डिफरेंट डिविजन्स हैं. आइदर योर फ्रैगमेंट इज लैकिंग अ सब्जेक्ट, अ वर्ब और बोथ. या तो आपके सब्जेक्ट नहीं होता, या वर्ब नहीं होता, या दोनों चीज़ें नहीं होती, और आपको ये दोनों चीज़ें सप्लाई करनी होती हैं सेंटेंस में टू मेक द सेंटेंस कंप्लीट एंड टू टेक इट आउट ऑफ द कैटेगरी ऑफ अ फ्रैगमेंट. Now you can correct a fragment by adding the missing part of speech, add a subject, add a verb, or add both. Rob threw the ball, Mark and his friends laughed, a dog ran round the corner. So आपके पास यहाँ पे तीनों चीज़ें जो है वो सप्लाई हो गई हैं, तो आपका फ्रैगमेंट सेंटेंस में चेंज हो गया. Now, while run-on sentences, what run-on sentences are, they are two sentences that the writer has not separated with an end punctuation mark or has just joined with a conjunction. और हैज़ नॉट जॉइंड विद द कंजंक्शन. रन ऑन सेंटेंसेस के साथ प्रॉब्लम ये होती है कि वो किसी प्रॉपर तरीके से सेंटेंस के साथ जुड़े नहीं होते, उनको बस साथ लिख देते हैं और उनमें पंक्चुएशन की कमी होती है या कोई कंजंक्शन ऐड करना होता है. Now there are 3 ways to correct a run-on. Add a period and a capital letter. Either you add a full stop to the first part of the sentence और end second वाले को capital letter करके 2 अलग sentences कर दें, या add a semicolon उनको connect कर दें, और add a comma and a conjunction और उनको connect कर दें. ये 3 तरीके होते हैं आपके run-on sentences को correct करने के. Now about pre-writing techniques, we discussed free writing, note keeping, brainstorming, mind mapping and journalistic questions. Pre-writing is basically the first stage of writing when you discover and explore your initial ideas about the topic. You just kind of ransack your mind, उसमें जो भी ideas उस topic से related होते हैं उन्हें आप लिख लेते हैं. Free writing is like pouring all of your thoughts onto paper. You don't have to take off your pen from the page. Keep writing whatever time you've been given. At this point in time, you don't have to see कि कौन सा idea relevant, कौन सा irrelevant, कौन सा good or bad है. You just have to keep on writing and bring all the information in your mind to the piece of paper. और वहाँ से फिर आपको grammar और spelling की भी कोई परवाह नहीं करनी होती. Then later on, you pick out the pieces, important pieces of information. Note keeping and journal is basically a discussion or a kind of an explanation or reflection on your inner life. आपकी एक पर्सनल डायरी की तरह होता है नोट कीपिंग, जो आप अपने लिए लिखते हैं. इट्स अ प्राइवेट प्लेस वेयर यू शेयर योर एक्सपीरियंसेस एंड योर इनर लाइफ, एंड अकॉर्डिंग टू अ राइटर आई डिस्कवर व्हाट आई रियली थिंक बाय राइटिंग इट डाउन. वो जो आप उस चीज़ के बारे में सोच रहे होते हैं वो आप लिखते हैं और वो आपको याद रहता है. Now brainstorming is a strategy of listing all the terms related to the topic. No need to worry about whether those ideas are useful or not. Brainstorming में you make a list of all the ideas that are there in your mind, whether they are related or not, whether they are useful or unuseful. जो भी possibilities आपके mind में, you just put them on a piece of paper in the form of a list. Often brainstorming looks more like a list, while free writing may look more like a paragraph. This is also important. आपको difference brainstorming और free writing का बताया. brainstorming में you have to make a list and free writing में आपको एक paragraph की form में लिखना होता है. Mind mapping is clustering, mapping, webbing. It's a visual outlining. इसमें आप middle में अपना topic रखते हैं, put the topic in the center and branch out from there with related ideas. Use words and phrases and not complete sentence. It's a kind of a web जो आपके पेज पे बन जाता है और related ideas आप उसमें से branch out करते जाते हैं और उन्हें बाद में आप अपना essay या paragraph लिखने के लिए इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं. Journalistic questions are a list of questions how, what, where, when, which, who, जो आप किसी भी टॉपिक से रिलेटेड पूछते हैं और एक प्रॉपर इंफॉर्मेशन और डाटा आपके पास आ जाता है जिसके बेसिस पे आप वो उस टॉपिक के ऊपर लिखते हैं बाद में. Now regarding paragraphs, we discussed the hamburger model. A paragraph is a developed but manageable thought. It is well developed, it is properly written, but it is a manageable thought. It is very short और उसी short में आप पूरी proper हर बात उस topic से related जो है वो note करते हैं. A hamburger paragraph format provides a clear structure for writing an organized paragraph. How? The top one is your topic sentence. The sentence that comes next are your supporting details. They are like the lettuce, tomato and hamburger patty in the middle. ये जो सब चीज़ें होती हैं ये आपकी supporting details होती हैं, and everything that the one thing that is holding everything together is your bottom one, जो उसको इकट्ठा रखता है, जो आपका concluding sentence होता है. So we have three parts of a paragraph: topic sentence, supporting details and concluding sentence. So ये है आपका hamburger model जिसके accordingly आप एक बहुत अच्छा paragraph develop कर सकते हैं. The essentials of a good paragraph are unity, a good topic sentence, logical sequence of thoughts, variety, comprehensive final sentence. Final sentence, that is concluding sentence. Now essay writing say related, we talked about kinds of essays: descriptive, definition, compare and contrast, cause and effect, narrative, process, argumentative, critical, imaginative. Descriptive essays are those that describe a scene, an object, a memory or an anecdote or an accident. Definition, that defines something. Compare and contrast में दो चीज़ों, लोगों या ideas का comparison होता है. Cause and effect में कुछ चीज़ हुई जिसका इफ़ेक्ट क्या हुआ, पोल्यूशन का इफ़ेक्ट क्या होता है, 2008 अक्टूबर 2008 के ज़लज़ले का क्या इफ़ेक्ट हुआ पाकिस्तान पर. सो दीज आर इफ़ेक्ट, कॉज एंड इफ़ेक्ट एसेज. नैरेटिव एसेज आर स्टोरीज और एसेज, थिंग्स दैट हैपेंड एंड यू आर नरेटिंग देम. प्रोसेस एसेज में आप प्रोसेस डिस्क्राइब करते हैं. आर्ग्यूमेंटेटिव एसेज आर डिस्कसिव एसेज इन विच यू आर गिवन अ टॉपिक एंड यू हैव टू डिस्कस और आर्ग्यू अबाउट इट. क्रिटिकल एसेज में आप किसी भी क्रिटिकल लिटरेरी टॉपिक के ऊपर क्रिटिसिज्म देते हैं. और इमेजिनेटिव एसेज में यू इमेजिन समथिंग एंड राइट अबाउट इट. इफ़ आई वर द प्रेजिडेंट ऑफ पाकिस्तान, सो ये एक इमेजिनेटिव टॉपिक हो जाएगा. Now characteristics of an essay include unity, order, brevity, style and the personal touch. Unity is that the whole paragraph, whole essay is supposed to be one solid whole. हर किसी paragraph को दूसरे के साथ connected होना चाहिए. It should not seem as if one paragraph is not connected to the previous one and has been, it is inserted into it or it's a different entity. It should be in order, it should follow a proper sequence. Then brevity, it should be concise, बहुत डिटेल में ना हो, बहुत irrelevant बातें ना हो. Very concise and comprehensive. It should have a proper writing style and it should be given a personal touch. It should look like a creative effort of your own. Now writing a précis. We talked about précis after essay writing. Précis is a short summary of an original long passage. Now précis writing के कुछ rules हमने पढ़े थे. You have to read the passage at least 3 times to grasp what the meaning is. Then you have to underline the important points to be included in your précis, and important point is identified by its being very very intimately connected to your main subject. And use your own language in the précis, and never pick up sentences and longer chunks from the passage. आपकी अपने words में आपकी précis होनी चाहिए. The précis should be roughly 1/3 of the original. It's always good कि आप पहले एक rough draft बना लें और फिर उसमें अगर बहुत लंबा है तो उसे short कर दें और अगर बहुत short है तो 2-3 details उसमें और add कर दें. Now examples, illustrations and comparisons should be left out of the précis. Figures of speech should be removed and the ideas are expressed in clear, direct language. Now when you are writing a précis, you are not supposed to put in comparisons, illustrations and figures of speech. वो आपको निकालने होते हैं. Your own comments on the idea of précis are not included. Your own comments are there in an essay. précis में आप अपने comments नहीं देते हैं. See that your précis is a readable piece of English. Even if somebody has not read the original passage, they should know what the original passage must have been about. And your précis should be a connected whole. And don't use the direct form of speech in your précis. think of a suitable title if it is asked, and always give the word count at the end of your précis. These were some important rules regarding the précis writing that we discussed and did some very comprehensive exercises. About memo writing, a memo is a short to the point communication conveying your thoughts, reactions or opinions on something. Now a memo has the following sections. It is written always in the hard copy form. It is an internal communication जो किसी भी ऑफिस के अंदर कोई भी बात बताने के लिए, नोटिस देने के लिए की जाती है. Or it is technical writing, so it is supposed to be very, very specifically, clearly handled. Now approaches to memo writing are decide if it's to be persuasive or informative. You have to be very clear whether you are writing an informative or persuasive memo. Clearly state the purpose of your communication right in the beginning, in the subject line and in the first paragraph of your memo. Write memos with purpose and make that purpose known in the first paragraph. आपके first paragraph में ही आपके memo का purpose पता चल जाना चाहिए. Keep it simple. You have to keep the language very comprehensive and very simple. There is no need to use big dictionary words in memo because it's technical writing. Technical writing is always short and simple. Now parts of memo are, first most important part is the heading, that includes the to section. Then we have the CC, any people that you are copying the memo to, from, date and subject. Your subject line is supposed to be highlighted in some way, whether it's all capital or it's underlined or bold. Then the opening segment, in which you include some important information about the context and the purpose statement. Then the summary segment, जिसमें आप थोड़ी सी discussion करते हैं और बहुत brief summary देते हैं, background देते हैं अपने topic के ऊपर. Then the discussion segment can be numbered, 1 or 2 points में आ सकता है. The discussion segment is always about the main points that you want to discuss. If it is a persuasive memo, what you want, why you want it, what is the rationale behind it. If you want more computer equipment, technological equipment in your office, why do you need it, and by when do you need it, and where is the previous equipment, आपको वो सारी justifications इस section में देनी है. Then the closing segment is very short. You can just end it by saying that I will be glad to discuss our recommendations with you on Tuesday's meeting, and we'll then make the decision. And then if you have added any attachments, तो memo के end में आप लिखें attached और उस attachment का title लिख दें. And then we talked about an email writing, because in the present email writing is one very, very important phenomena. All students and people related to all different kinds of professions have to get exposed to email writing. A system for sending and receiving messages electronically over a computer network as between personal computers is called an email. And E in email means electronic mail. Email is much the same as a letter, but it is exchanged electronically. Letter की तरह ही होती है, लेकिन electronic mail होती है. Then you need an internet service provider to give you an email account, जिसके through आप emails जो है वो receive और send कर सकते हैं. This is the anatomy of an email. This is the mail box. इसमें from का section होता है जहां आप अपना email address लिखते हैं, to में जिसको आपने भेजना है, CC में जिनको आप copy कर रहे हैं, और subject में आप अपना subject लिखते हैं. This is the area where you write your message या email. The header of an email includes the from, to, CC and subject fields. The part below the header is called the body, जिसमें आप अपना message लिखते हैं. Spelling the correct address is critical with an email. Now an email is sent to the correct person when you write the email address extremely correctly. If just a little sign, a symbol or one letter of the email address is moved here or there, आपकी email जो है वो bounce back हो जाएगी, delivery fail का message आएगा और वो email जिसे आपने भेजनी है उस तक नहीं जाएगी. So be very careful that your email address is very, very clearly and correctly written. Then we talked about regarding the message composition about resume or curriculum vitae. A resume is a summary of your academic and work history. A resume sections are your name, your address, resume objective, profile or summary of qualifications, employment history जिसमें आप अपनी jobs trace करते हैं, education में आप अपनी education बताते हैं, any skills that you have or activities, any hobbies or anything that is related to the job opening you are applying for. There are three basic resume formats: chronological, that starts off with your experience first and then moves over to your skills and interests and education. Experience is number one, then you have the education, and then you have the interests, number three. Then we have the skills format that starts off with your skills. This format is specifically useful when you are applying for a job in a different field than your work experience. And then you have large gaps in your work experience, or you have little or no paid work experience. That is for students like you who are at a level where you have not worked with any company, any organization, and you need to write a resume for the first time. And then the last one is combination or functional. Combination or functional is the mixture of both these resume formats, and it highlights the relevant that the skills that are relevant to a particular field of work. Then when you write a resume, you have to add a cover letter to it. A cover letter is a letter in which you describe or give explanation of your resume. The purposes of a cover letter are: it is used when responding to a specific advertised opening or job. It explains why you are sending the resume. It convinces the reader to read or look at your resume, calls attention to the important attributes of your background or something important that related to the job you have done in the past, and shows your personality, attitude, enthusiasm, and communication skills. Some do's and don'ts of cover letters, some things that you have to do and you don't have to do in cover letters. Don't repeat information found in resume. Do sum up important qualities, areas of expertise, and motivation about field or position of interest. Do include information about availability. This is very important. Do let them know when and where you will be available, because if they want to call you for an interview, you need to be available. And then cover letter is also used to describe shortcomings or gaps in your work experience, because before you actually go and sit in front of the employer and talk about it, you can say something about it in the cover letter. And do try to keep the cover letter to 1 page. 2 pages is also acceptable, but 1 page is more professional. General structure is an opening paragraph in which you say why you are writing, from where you learned about the organization and the position. Body paragraph में आप demonstrate करते हैं how you are useful for the job, and closing paragraph में you just tell them that you would like to have an opportunity for an interview, and tell them that you are available at this email or this phone number and from this to this time, and also offer them to provide any further information if they want it. And then the last paragraph, that can be just 1 single line. It can be any attachments or just thanking the employer for their consideration. Now we also talked about word skills using a dictionary. Dictionaries are books that list all the words in a language. With a dictionary you can learn how to spell a word, what a word means, how to say a word, what part of speech a word is, how many syllables are in a word, whether or not to capitalize a word, how to abbreviate a word, and meanings of prefixes and suffixes. All this information is provided in a dictionary. So a dictionary is an unfathomable ocean of knowledge. So whenever you are stuck with a word, always go back and open the dictionary. You can find the spellings, you can find the meaning, you can find the pronunciation, you can find what part of speech the word is, syllables मिल जाते हैं आपको, punctuation का पता चल जाता है, how to abbreviate the word, और prefixes और suffixes के बारे में आपको पता चल जाता है. Now regarding the many sections or parts of a word entry, we have a head word that is in bold type, जिसका आप मीनिंग ढूंढ रहे होते हैं. उसमें एंट्री जो है वो उसके आगे जो इन्फॉर्मेशन लिखी होती है उससे कहते हैं. उस एंट्री के अंदर you have the pronunciation right after the word, and then you have the part of speech, whether it's a noun, verb, adjective, adverb, and then we have the definition, all possible meanings for the word, और उसके साथ एग्जांपल्स लिखी होती हैं जो कि इटैलिक्स में होती हैं, सेंटेंसेस में आपको एग्जांपल्स दी होती हैं. और आपकी डिक्शनरीज, द मॉडर्न डिक्शनरीज हैव etymologies, they have the origins of words as well. They tell us where the word started off, कि कहाँ से डिराइव हुआ है और किसने पहले यूज़ किया. सो ये भी आपके पास डिक्शनरी में होता है. नाउ दिस इज़ वन एग्जांपल ऑफ अ डेफिनेशन of the word flag. When you look at the word flag in a dictionary, this is the head word, this is its pronunciation, this is the part of speech, this is the entry. इस पूरे part को आप entry कहते हैं जिसके अंदर आपके पास part of speech आता है. Then you have the definition, then you have another part of speech and the usage. अब इससे देखें आपने italics में किया हुआ है, we flagged down the police officer. कोई भी usage word की जो unusual होती है, that is given in the dictionary. Not all possible usages are listed because it's not possible कि सब के सब important usages को list किया जाए dictionary में. And then what a thesaurus is? Thesaurus is a kind of a dictionary that gives you the similar meanings of words, and it is not another name of a dinosaur. Why use a thesaurus? To avoid using the same word over and over again, to find a word that has the same or similar meaning, to find the opposite of a word. Dictionary thesaurus also gives you the antonyms of words. Similar meaning are synonyms and opposite words are antonyms. And to learn new words and to make your writing more interesting and exciting. Sometimes it happens that you are using the same word over and over again, तो आप thesaurus में उस word के different equivalents ढूंढ लेते हैं और meaning के हिसाब से उनको लिख देते हैं. Now, how to use a thesaurus? It's arranged much like a dictionary. It is in alphabetical order. We have the guide words, we have entries, then head word is in bold, then we also get the part of speech, फिर उसके बाद synonyms की list होती है और antonyms की list होती है. What is missing here is the usage. In words की usage आपको thesaurus में नहीं दी जाती. Words की usage आपको dictionary ही में देखनी पड़ती है. And about the effective presentation skills, we talked about presentation. What a presentation is: something set forth to an audience for the attention of the mind, and it is effective. Effective presentations, they control anxiety, audience centered होती हैं, accomplishes objectives, they are fun for the audience and fun for you. They are conducted within the time frame. जितना आप उसको late करेंगे, it will get boring. Why we give presentations? There are three main purposes: to inform, to persuade, to educate. Planning a presentation, we determine our purpose and we look at the audience. We analyze the audience and we look at the size of the audience, demographics, the physical conditions, the knowledge level, what is the level of the audience. अगर वो आपसे कम experience में हैं तो आपको of course उनको काफ़ी background knowledge देना पड़ेगा. And if they are equal to you or higher than you, then you are at a comfortable position. And then you have to look at their motivation level as well to be a good presenter. To plan a presentation, you have to plan space, number of seats, seating arrangement, visual aids and distractors, what day and time you are presenting. About more planning, organization is very important. Determine your main points, you have to give evidence about them, you have to use transitions and prepare an outline. Organizational patterns होते हैं topical, chronological, problem solution और cause effect. Topical are related to the topic, chronological according to the sequence of happening, problem solution when you are giving a problem and proposing a solution, and cause effect something that happened and affected something in a different way, तो उसको आप refer करते हैं यहाँ. Now you also make presentation outline with the help of keyword reminders. You have to keep it to a conversational flow, a very audience-centered approach so that your audience does not get bored. Your presentation is supposed to be flexible because there can be any mishap, technology can fail, lights can go out, so you need to be flexible. So more responsive to audience. So your audience is supposed to be involved. Here we are at the end of our last lecture for this course. Let's quickly revise what all we did today. The objectives for today's lecture were to quickly refresh all the information that we gave you, all the knowledge that we gave you in this course. I hope this course really helped you enhance your reading comprehension skills, your grammar skills, and your message composition and writing skills, most specifically, because a lot of part of this course was about writing. We did a quick review of all the grammar portion. We talked about the writing composition part that included essay writing, précis writing, and paragraph writing. And in message composition, we talked about 4 important elements: memo writing, email writing, CV composition, and cover letter. And then we talked about dictionary skills and presentation skills. In dictionary skills, we talked about how to look up a word in a dictionary, what different parts a dictionary is divided into, and how to use a thesaurus. And in presentation skills, we talked about how to plan a presentation, how to actually present, and how to end your presentation in a way that you become a very good presenter. I hope this course really helped you enhance your English language skills. And here we are at the end of the last lecture of this course. Good luck for the future. Thank you very much.